How you feeling today, brother?
I'm feeling good, man.
You look good, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look healthy.
I appreciate it. Trying to get there, man.
Yeah. All right, so let's start off yesterday.
Can we talk R&B experience?
Can we talk?
Yeah.
R&B experience.
It was a 2-year anniversary event.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I can't take all the credit. That event is a collab event.
For sure.
My partner's name is Tehsuan.
Yeah.
So we do our own separate events every month. That event, we come together and do first Saturdays of the month.
So I think this is immediately really, really valuable conversation.
Okay.
You are already independently successful, producing, hosting events, bringing folks together. Soup is already successful, producing, hosting events, bringing people together. Why did y'all decide to collaborate? Like, why not just you do an R&B experience on your own, or him do an R&B experience on his own?
Oh man, I'm about to probably let you in on a little secret too. It's gonna go live too, man. So it wasn't just supposed to be he and I. Right?
Okay.
So there was going to be somebody else involved. Who is his own successful entrepreneur.
Got you.
And event planner.
Yeah.
So it's not like that person could have done it on their own.
Okay.
It's not like he could have did it on his own.
Okay.
It's not like I couldn't have done it on my own.
Right.
You know, he had this idea of this, I guess for lack of better words, this monster situation to come together with a few people, just a few people. And just to do something different for New Jersey. Yep. And the third person who was going to be in the actual trio of the situation was in the process of opening his own spot. Which is up and running and successful now. Okay. So I'll give you all the scoop. Don't kill me on this there, but the person was supposed to be Mark T. Okay. Okay. And we were all we were hanging out down at Bar Vanquish. Back home. Glenn.
Shout out to Glenn. Shout out to Tammy.
Yeah, shout out to Glenn and Tammy. Mark T had his 3-2-1 weekend. And he had the finale at Bar Vanquish. And we were sitting there at a listening party. Like a silent party. Okay. So, you know, we all go to each other's functions. Right. You know, just to respect what we have going on. You know, I have a lot of respect for Soup before that. So I do, obviously, and had a lot of respect for Mark T. So it was very mutual. And you know, ironically, kind of, we always had events monthly, but didn't overlap. Right. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And it kind of just wasn't really like planned that way. But it's kind of like, you know, when you're at a certain level in this game, you're gonna see what other people got going on. You know, you have a certain respect for people. Sometimes you can't avoid certain dates, but nonetheless, it's not like we consistently did stuff on each other's days. So, long story short, you know, we're just sitting there. It's like, yo, man, I got this idea, right? And I'm like, what's the idea? He's like, he was like, you know, I think we could come together like for a crazy R&B situation. You know, and he kind of pitched it like, you know, this is what I got. I already know what you got. I know what he got. You know, so he was like, you know, I'm saying it that far. What's gonna happen from here? I'm like, all right, well, you know what, shoot, man. I'm like, look, I'll holler at Mark and take it from there. Right. So I hollered at Mark. I called him. And, you know, like he told me, he's like, look, you know, appreciate you asking. He was like, but I'm actually about to open up a spot on my own at the time. You know, he was working like behind the scenes. People didn't really know. And then he was like, listen, you know, I got something, and, you know, we about to, they ain't about to drive, I'm about to do, you know, build out, all that type of stuff. So long story short, you know, I told Soup, I said, Mark would love to do it, but I said he got something that he about to really branch out to and put his focus in. And I can respect that, because in this business, when you got a project, whether it's brick and mortar or whether it's just something theme-wise or something grand scale, you really got to be able to put your all into it. Me personally, I don't do business just for the sake of doing business. You know? There's got to be some type of purpose behind it. So I said to him, I said, listen, he is about to open up his own spot, legit. I said, but listen, I'm still down to do it. So he was like, all right, you know, I'm down. So we met up, And we met a few times, and we just talked.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. We went to an R&B event. You know, there's like another person in Jersey, another big promoter in Jersey who was doing an R&B event. We went and checked it out.
Okay.
You know, but we just wanted to still be different. And then we just started brainstorming, man. And just one mind with another. Yeah. And then, boom, can we talk?
Yeah. Yo, it's fly, man. It's fly that you put together such an experience that is such a curated experience. Even though, like you said, like there's other R&B events, you know what I mean, in Jersey or even outside of the state. But the fact that it requires such curation, right? Yeah. You can't lean away from what this is. This is this. You know what I mean? It don't matter whose birthday it is. It don't matter what song just came out that everybody loves. This is this. Yes, it is. Yeah. And so like it's just super dope. And like for 2 years to run that so far. I mean, 2 years and 200 to go, whatever. Yeah. Like it's that consistency.
To be honest with you, I don't even know where the 2 years, how they came and went so fast. Yeah. It really just felt like yesterday where we were just sitting at the table brainstorming. And, and just me personally, everything that I do, I try to just be different in a category by itself. Mm-hmm. So, we were just sitting there, trying to think of, what we wanted to call it. Yeah. We was looking at locations. To be honest with you, one location, they didn't even necessarily want social drinking crowd. That we wanted to pick like a different spot. Mm-hmm. And they weren't necessarily open to it, but hey, it's not our loss.
Right.
And so we picked a different spot that neither one of us used, because that was one of the things too. We wanted to use a spot that
brand new relationships
weren't really using.
Yeah.
I've been in the spot 2 times in terms of doing something, but it wasn't like a staple home base for me, and it wasn't definitely a staple home base for him either.
Right.
So that's when we started the patio. And and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
And I gotta say this while we on camera, man, because the standard that we have for it in terms of the music and everything, one of the people that was intricate in that was Mr. C. And when me and Sue did the first event, I don't know if you've seen the post I put up and that he put up, Mr. C wasn't even on the bill. And a DJ like that is always booked.
Yes.
I mean, Mr. C is doing like 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes more than one spot.
Right.
So he really took time out his busy schedule to come from New York and show up to Noah and just pop out and surprise. And the vibe was okay, and he was just like, you know what? He's like, listen, man. He's like, I'm gonna go to my laptop. I'm gonna put my laptop out the car. And he was like, I'm gonna do a set for y'all on the strength. Y'all my guys. I appreciate y'all.
Okay.
And when he got on, man, I'm not just saying it just to say it, man. I'm saying it because it's the truth. When he got on, he took that vibe to a whole nother level. Yeah. R&B wise.
Yes.
And we had some good things.
Yeah.
We had some good things with him. We had some good things with a lot of good DJs on came, man, from Jersey and New York, to really touch this stage. And while we're on the topic of him, real quick, we did a theme. It was Bad Boy catalog versus Social Death, just the catalog. Okay. I know all the stuff that's going on, but it was really just the catalog.
Right.
And it was really about who had the better catalog. Was it Jermaine? Social Death?
Right.
Was it Bad Boy?
Right.
And Mr. C texted us and was like, listen, man, it took me like 3 hours to put this catalog together. He was like, man, it's well over 100 songs. And he was like, he's like, it's gonna come up pretty even, but he was like, man, some of these catalogs that they produced, even if it wasn't their artist, they wrote it, or somebody in their camp produced it, it's still technically theirs. And it was insane, man. He got to it. This is when Can We Talk first started out after work.
Yeah, okay.
So we would go 6 to 11.
Okay.
And that day, I got the video saved too. Mr. C sent us both a video drop, a second one, talking about how he's in Elizabeth for like 3 o'clock in the afternoon to beat the traffic. Because he didn't want to get caught in traffic, and he was so hyped. He was really all about perfection his craft, man. He was so hyped to do that event and that theme. He got there 3 hours early. And it was just like, I'm in the car.
Yeah.
I'm getting something to eat.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, ladies, y'all better get there early.
Word.
One of those things, man.
That's dope.
That between the first one and that theme with the Bad Boy versus music-wise, and then just hostings and artists that we brought. We want the vibe to be right.
Yeah.
For everybody to be right too.
It's funny because it reminds me of like back when Jermaine Dupri had called out Puff to do verses.
Yes.
And that's something I really like about Jermaine Dupri is that like he knows what he's standing on.
You got a catalog
that's I don't care what you think about him personally. As far as that catalog goes, he's with whatever. And he really got it. Like So Def, and like you said, like the things that he wrote or produced, touched otherwise, like that's no joke, man.
It's not. It was almost like a listening party because you trying to figure out, what's next from this person's catalog or that person's catalog, and then songs are being played and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, word.
Oh man, I forgot to produce that, and then you're like, what?
Right.
He had a hand in this?
Right.
And Mr. C is like, I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
He always did his homework, man. Always did his homework.
You mentioned that like you always try to make it a point to plan events and put things together that stand out.
Correct.
Where do you get that from?
Be honest with you, man, that's just me as a person.
Okay.
I like to be different.
Copy.
And I'm not saying like I don't do anything that other people don't do. I just like to have my own touch on it.
Mm-hmm.
I probably got a lot of inspiration from my family members, my parents, my grandparents, certain aunts and uncles.
Yep.
I just watching them, excuse me, was just very motivational.
Yeah.
And coming up in my household, my father taught at Westside 32 years, right? So not a lot of people know my dad.
Right.
Then my mom is who she is, Essence Magazine, all of that.
Yep.
I never wanted people to think like I just got it because my parents got it, So I was always just working. I've always playing ball. I always had a side gig or a hustle or something. It was just that drive. You would think I didn't have it by the way I had the work ethic.
Right.
And so I always wanted to, branch out on my own. And so seeing, my parents are always going to these fancy events. My mom's was always having these hostings. And, the educational side of me being a teacher, my dad, well known in the city, and even my godfather was principal at Westside, another one, Bernard Williams, well known in the city. I just saw them as like black excellence. They just, we done been everywhere. We done been in people's houses and their celebrities are stars, and we done been in people's, houses or places, and it just they just getting by. But nonetheless, my mother and my father always just kept me well-rounded. I could be in a situation where, I'm in somebody's place and it might not necessarily be the best, and I could be in somebody's place and it's like, all right, you better be on your P's and Q's. But either way, the behavior was the same because, they just brought us there. We used to be, I'm not to say this for the camera, but we literally used to be in Miss Emily Miles' house over there. And me and my sister literally used to play hide and go seek in that big house. And I never forget, like she had a room where, I don't even know what you call it, but you had like a couple steps that went down in the middle of the bedroom, I used to think that was so cool. I see it, it's an old fashioned design. When you have a room and you have a couple steps
down. I forget what that's called.
I forgot what it's called too. And you see it, and then even like in the 80s and 90s, you see in people's backyards they have that as well with the fire pits and stuff. So. And
that was like especially dope for people's like in live spaces, like in their living room or bedroom or what have you. Because like what that requires for the construction to build that house that way is like, you paid for that.
For sure. The house is phenomenal. And I don't quote me on the block because I don't know if it was Clinton Place or 13th or South 13th or something like that, but it was, we used to be in her house. For sure. We used to go upstairs to like that third floor. And her room just seemed so huge. She had so many clothes. We used to be playing. Man, she just, she had it. And that whole, that Bellmead, Marlon agency thing. We was exposed to that too. My older sister's 10 years older than my younger sister. Me and my younger sister 17 months apart. My older sister was a mom. And then, me and my younger sister if we did a fashion show with them, for me it was cool. I just got to keep the clothes.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't want to go on a tangent. But just in business wise, being exposed to Essence Music Festival as a kid, going to the Essence Awards, you know, traveling to different places in the country as a youth, and just seeing what high end and wealthy people looking like, and you know, it might be a lower economic status situation, but either way, you know, we was never uncomfortable. And even in our house, you know, January and February, we was cutting back. Like, we had what we wanted. Right. But I joke around, listen, man, I turned my TV with the pliers too. You know, we put the foil in the oven to close the door too. You know, like, it just, I don't know, they just made us so well rounded. But I say this, you know, hosting wise and just business wise, I got a lot of that from them. My grandfather, my mother's father, they called him Red Shirt Charlie. He was running Springfield Avenue. You know, like, it just that entrepreneurial spirit, and then just engaging the people, knowing people, being a people person. And to be honest with you, I'm very laid back when I'm not doing that type of stuff. You know, but you know, it's just business, and it's my own niche. Right. You know.
What was the first thing you ever planned? First event you ever planned? First thing you ever produced?
Well, to get into the business, right?
And I mean, like, it could precede the business too. Like, if it's if it was a roundtable discussion in the treehouse, whatever it was.
So, the first party I probably was a part of where I made money, and I made a lot of good money, but it just at that time, it just, I guess financially, I can't say it really clicked. I was in college, right? Okay. And I was a senior, and I was, you know, I'm in a fraternity, so.
What's the fraternity?
Phi Beta Sigma.
And what college?
Virginia State University.
Copy.
So, you know, we did a party, and some of the people that was involved was like, I'm not sure if I want to put the money up for the party. And I'm like, listen, man, it's the first party it's going to be here. Right. So I threw mine in a hat, and it came back really nice. But, so I mean, there's that. But after college, me and my friends would get together, and we would do this free event in New York called Tehsuan Barbecue, and that turned into a whole other business. But long story short, you know, we would do like a brunch, like on that Sunday somewhere in the city. So I was a part of that. And I had told him, I said, listen, man, like, you know, business wise, we should definitely get into something. But if not, you know, I know on a solo tip, I'm probably going to get something going. And I say that to say because apart from teaching, my mom says always have a side hustle. So I was doing nightclub security. And then just after a while, I did it for like a good 6 years. But I just felt like I knew way too many people not to be in business for myself. And I feel like no matter where we at in our lives, we always going to be in a transition period. So when I was doing that security like 5+ years, I was definitely like in a transitional period in my life. I didn't really want to just keep going out and partying. And I always believe in having money for a rainy day. You know, I was a single man at the time. I owned my own house. So I listen, as long as I have extra money for a rainy day and, you know, still do the lifestyle I want to have, it's fine. And then just eventually I just got a little tired of it. And I said, you know, I know way too many people. So I had started filling a brunch. Really just doing nightclub security and just thinking like, what could I do to be different? And I actually had the intentions of not doing night events. I was just going to do brunches, which is why I took my name and started filling a brunch. And then I called my fraternity brother who did brunches in Harlem every weekend. His name was Frandy. And then from time to time, because I went to Virginia State and knew a lot of people, he'd be like, yo, can you post my flyer from time to time? So I said, listen, man, you know, I called him because like, he would ask me to post his flyer. I asked him for a favor. Can he show me the ropes? Can I work with him? So I really did brunches in New York for 9 months. Just he and I you know, showing me how to like run certain things. You know, being a people person is cool. Running a business is different. You know, so I kind of like studied him because I knew I had a whole bunch of good ideas. I just needed to kind of like figure out how I was going to organize that to make sure like it was calculated to kind of like take off. And later on in the conversation, we could talk more about how certain calculations happen that kind of projected certain things. And then the funny thing is, backtracking to the whole Tehsuan Barbecue thing, that was just a free event in the park. And you know, in a couple of years, we would do like a brunch on the Sunday, or we would do a pre-party, which was good money, and then a brunch on the Sunday. But that eventually turned into a business, a big time business now, where we're in 4 major cities.
Yeah, talk that talk.
Working on expanding.
Yeah.
And that, you would have to see where we started doing that in a park, Harlem and Morningside, to just how it turned into a legit business now. Right. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a whole other situation. So thankfully, both business situations honestly worked out.
Yeah.
A lot of people know me from filling a brunch, but there's some barbecue on that platform is really has exceeded the expectations of where it started.
Word.
And it's only growing.
Yeah.
So that's a business, man.
I love that.
And, we got some major sponsors and we're growing that as well. But I don't know, man. I could go more into how I started with filling a brunch. Just doing nightclub security, like I said, I just got a little old.
Yeah.
I called my frat brother, and I just felt like, I love my home state.
Right.
Love my cities, Roselle, Newark, and all of that. But I still wanted to bring different, and I wanted to have something special for us here.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I'm going to just study the brunch market in general, the first 2 places I would need to study is either New York or DC.
Yep.
And I'm talking about like true brunch culture, not just Harlem. In New York, pre-pandemic, people would go to brunch for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Ain't no need they wouldn't even argue about keeping the table longer. They got their 2 hours, they had their food, they had their mimosas. They might go to another brunch.
Right.
But they're gonna give that table up.
Yeah.
I really had to understand like that culture. Like, let's meet up, let's have brunch. People had business meetings at brunch.
Yep.
They had mini reunions at brunch. Catch-ups and hang-ups, all that. Brunch culture was totally different.
Yeah.
So I studied that for 9 months to say, okay, now when I'm doing this here, this is gonna be different from everybody.
Right.
And then I had the experience why, I had the reasons why, I had the knowledge why.
Yep.
And then so now all I had to do was just roll it out.
Yeah.
And it became very strategic.
Yeah. I wanted you mentioned the calculations that became projections. Can you go into that?
I could.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. So a couple, right?
Yeah.
The doing the events in the city, right, and learning, from Frandy, like, all right, we're going to make the ticket link, the platform, the promotion, different little strategies of marketing, all that type of stuff. I was getting people from New Jersey to come to New York.
Right.
Okay. I have friends and family and all that in the city as well.
Yeah.
People I went to Virginia State with, they was coming from the city.
Yeah.
So then, I was.
That's how I met you.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I was telling people from Jersey, hey, listen, man, take that 30-minute drive, take that 40-minute drive. It's not even that bad, but the experience you're gonna get here is gonna be nice.
Yeah.
So after about I would say about 7 months, people kept saying, well, when you bringing this home? When we gonna have this here?
Yeah.
This is great. Don't get me wrong, but we need this type of experience here.
Yeah.
So I just waited to the point where they just kept beating me down about it. So then I said, all right, you know what? I'm not gonna go crazy and bite off more than I can chew. I'm gonna get a decent sized spot that Frandy always told me you always want your room to look full.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
It just enhances the experience. You could take 100 people and put them in a small space and look crazy.
Yeah.
You could put 100 people in a space and hold 1,000 and it could look crazy.
Right.
So, and I'm really gonna tell a lot with this. I initially went to Central Park, Mr. East first.
Okay.
And said, hey, look, I want to do brunches there.
Yeah.
So a lot of people probably know, a lot of people didn't know, but I did security there too.
Okay.
So, I had slowed down from doing my security there, but I was, still consistent.
Yeah.
And then I said to him and say, listen, I got a real good situation going business-wise.
Yeah.
I'd like to do a brunch here. I can give you guys good numbers, all that business stuff. And it was like, all right, we'll kind of let you know. So one of the guys that worked there was like, if you was probably a separate person from there, they might have said, hey, look, probably listen to it a little bit more. But they probably just saying, we'll let you know because, they know you. Okay. And I had a good working relationship there. So I said, okay, cool. So while I was waiting for them, and I knew people was like, hey, when it's going to be, be. So I wanted to do my first brunch in Jersey in April. This is April 2017.
Okay.
So I went to Galveston.
Right.
Okay. So we know Galveston, nice sized bar, but I mean it's small. Yeah. But it's an intimate spot, kind of like a Cheers situation. Like you want to come in, Everybody gonna know you. You gonna have a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went in there and I said, hey, I said, I'm looking for you. She's like, you looking for me? I said, yeah, Mary. I said, I'm looking for you.
Yeah.
She said, okay, how can I help you? I said, I want to do a brunch here. She said, all right, well, when you want to do a brunch? I said, I want to do a brunch in April. Let me know what days you got available.
Yeah.
I told her the deal I was looking for. She was like, I don't know if I could do that, but she was like, I'll let ownership management know. I'll definitely give you a call.
Yeah.
So she got back to me the next day. So we got April 15th available.
Okay.
This is the situation that we want to do.
Okay.
I said, all right, you know what, cool.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
So I had April 15th locked in at Galveston.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm promoting and I'm talking and I'm doing my thing. Still doing my Harlem situation just for Saturdays. So I had that and then I'm promoting Galveston.
Yeah.
So then I get called in for a meeting with Coach Dimitri and Miss East.
Yeah.
So we sitting there and he goes, I see you got a brunch next month. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, what day do you want to do here? So now I'm thinking like, all right, you know what? Because I was prepared to do Galveston.
Yeah.
Show them the footage until they were saying, listen.
Right.
Let's come to the table.
Yeah.
So he seen the flyer, saw me promoting it. And mind you, I don't know how, to this day, he must have like a private Instagram. Because I don't know, but he's seen the promotion. That's a whole other story for anybody who's done business with them. But, so he called me to the table. We had a meeting.
Yeah.
And we sat down and we talked, real serious.
Right. And
he gave me a situation, for lack of better words, business-wise, that, I can't say most people would take.
Good.
But it was a real good situation if I did what I had to do.
Okay.
So it was kind of like a test.
Okay.
And I'm kind of like speaking in between the lines financially. He kind of gave me like a situation and say, look, this is going to be the situation. Yeah. Now, if you don't handle this situation, it's going to be this. Right. But if you handle the situation, it's going to be that. Right. I was kind of speaking in code right? So I was like, all right, I'll take it. I love
the challenge. Let's go. Yeah.
And then he said to me, we might come to your brunch at Galveston.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. Now, also, too, I've been doing brunches for 9 months, and my parents never been to one of my brunches, right? And I like that because I don't. My mom is my mom, but I don't take her status or our relationship for granted. Right. So I had my first brunch I go to Galveston, and at the time with the owners there, shout out to DJ Rock on. Rock was a part of that situation too, business wise, right? So I had the brunch at Galveston. April 15, 2017. Yeah. Galveston comfortably, I ain't knocking the spot, but comfortably probably like 50, 50 plus people, maybe like 50, 60 people, maybe comfortably. Maybe I might be pushing, right? I probably had like a good 100, 120 people in there. Yeah. It was wall to wall. Yeah. Right? The fire department came like 6 times that day. Police came probably like good 3 times that day, right? I mean, like people were like walking through like this. Like, I remember people saying, hey, look, we couldn't get a table. We couldn't even get a drink ordered at the bar. We just wanted to show support. We'll catch the next one. You literally walked in just to say hi. That's how packed it was. It's in Kenilworth. It's in the West area, right? It's where Crab Bay is now. Shout out to Crab Bay.
Right. Shout out to Crab Bay.
Right. So I never forget, at the end of the party, Rock comes over, and he slams money on the table. Yeah. I'm like, what's this? He goes, it's your money. And I'm like, all right, cool. So now I'm thinking like, listen, man, he gonna give me another run at it. Get another month in there when I want. He goes, and I always tell this story, Rob, so I hope you listen to it. He said, but check it, man, you can't come back here no more. And I'm like, oh man, what happened, bro? Like, I did something wrong. I'm thinking it's all good. Like, every business owner wanted spot to be packed. Right. I'm like, what I do wrong? Right. And at the time, I thought you was so mean. I'm like, I'm a Rock always mad, man. Like he always mean, yo. I'm like, why this dude always mean? So he goes, nah, man. He said, you can't come back here. He said, because this spot not big enough for you, man. Right. He said, you gonna get me shut down, man. He said the fire department came 6 times. Yeah. He said, you need a bigger spot business-wise. He said, you got something special. Yeah. And he was like, my place can't hold what you got.
Copy. Yeah.
And then the next month, I was at Central Park. Now, the Central Park brunch in May, right? And I gotta go back to that recap video. Yeah. I said to my mom, Ma, guess what? She goes, what? I said, I got Central Park, And when I used to do security there, she used to always teach me because she used to be like, "They gonna have a red carpet out there tonight?" Security, like, Mom, listen, you always jokes and stuff, right? So I said, guess what? I said, I got Central Park.
Yeah.
She said, really? I said, yeah. She said, they gonna have a red carpet out there? I said, Mom, I don't know. I said, but I got Central Park.
Yeah.
Right? She goes, me and your father are coming. As soon as the first thing she said, me and your father are coming.
Right.
I said, all right, bet. I said, now, my motto was, it probably still is, if I get you to come out, if I get somebody to come to my brunch, they ain't never been there, now I'm doing something. They ain't never been, they finally got it. So I always tell people all the time, yo, man, I see what you got going on, finally, man. I said, now I'm doing something because I got you in the building. Because when you promote, you are your clientele.
Yes.
No matter where you take them, that's your clientele. So if you got people that ain't never been to your party, they're not a part of your clientele.
Right.
It don't matter if they watching from afar or whatever. If they ain't been in the building or at least bought a t-shirt or something like that, they're not your clientele. So I used to tell people, now I'm doing something because you here.
Yeah.
So my mother was like, yo, me and your father coming.
Yeah.
And they came, bro.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing about it is both owners was in there. One on each side of the room. And it was a phenomenal party. Packed. And then since that room was so full and so hectic in there, then after that I moved into Mr. East.
Copy.
The bigger room in the back.
Yep. And
then I just been at Mr. East since. But to be brutally honest with you, like I tell people, Mr. East, when I did Mr. East brunch, and I'm speaking, yes to this day, but definitely pre-pandemic, Mr. East brunch is like brunch on steroids. So to be honest with you, like a true brunch is like I'm coming in, I'm gonna have my mimosas, I'm gonna have my rum punch, I'm gonna have my chicken and waffles, I'm gonna have my shrimp and grits. What really came over time with me doing brunches there, it started out as heavy food, and then it transitioned into food and bottle service. And a lot of it now is really just bottle service. I still push the food heavy because that's what brunch is supposed to be. But with Mr. East, and you got 29 VIPs.
Right.
You got a big dance floor. Pre-pandemic, I used to do buffet brunches. So post-pandemic, I haven't even done a true buffet brunch. But pre-COVID, it was buffet brunch. And we would do brunch started at 12. Because brunch is technically supposed to be early. Post-pandemic, I started at 2 o'clock and kind of kept that trend going. But there was people lining up for brunch at Mr. East at 11:45. And you think about it, it's a party, though, but they coming at 11:45.
That means they got dressed, got your haircut or hair done, all of that.
We would go, you could check any flyer I had before COVID. 12 to 8 was the brunch time. 11:45, I had tables set for noon.
Let me ask you this. Aside from what Rock said, because I feel like that's probably the best compliment you could get, what is the best compliment that somebody after leaving an event, whether it's for the first time or not, has given you on it?
Oh, man,
bro. Or one of the best?
I got a few, man. I got a nephew who didn't get a really chance to have a prom.
Okay.
And shout out to my sister Toy, brother Brian. They just wanted to have something for him. So this is like when COVID kind of like started like open back up just a little bit.
Copy.
And we took him, had him in the VIP upstairs. And he had all these ladies around him. We said jailed up real nice. He was super appreciative.
Word.
He was too. That's a good on-the-spot question, man. I've had a lot of people that just, overall talk about how, I made their birthday special. Or, I transcended their experience. Just made them feel at home. I said in another interview, like my hospitality, like that I try to give to you is one of the most valued things that I can have. But I've seen that growing up, like firsthand. Hospitality. You make people gonna remember how you made them feel, man.
And it's a really interesting point. I want to talk about that, or I want to hear you talk about that a little bit, because you're really, really great at hosting people. You're really great at hospitality before, during, and after an event, right? And I'm speaking as somebody who's come to a couple of events. So like, you're very, very personable in the event and outside the event, right? And like you said, there's one thing to be a people person. It's another thing to do business. And everybody who's coming as a client, everybody who's in the clientele is coming for the fun.
Right.
You're working. You're doing business all night long.
Yeah, it's work.
All night, right?
Sure.
So can you give me just like one or a couple, just like principles or gems in terms of how to maintain a firm line of business while being so hospitable? But like, where do you like these things?
That's a good question. Because to be honest with you, man, you can't please everybody.
Right.
Nobody has a 100%
Right.
happiness
Yes.
rate. You know, I probably have some people that just be like, you know what, man, I ain't coming back.
Yeah.
It's just you can't please everybody, but I try to please everybody.
Yep.
You know, I really try to get you to feel like, you know what, when I come here, it's some exclusivity. I'm majorly welcomed. I got what I need. You know, it's a business that people will keep coming back.
Yeah.
If you can. Because to be honest with you, I say this, and I rarely speak at my own events, but when I do, I always tell people, y'all, you could have been anywhere in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
You really could.
Yeah.
You know, you got cities that I can name that people travel to just to go to for an experience.
Yeah.
You know, so my thing is, how am I gonna make them feel like they can get close to that experience when they right here?
Right.
You know, I don't care if it's 50 people or 500 people.
Right.
You gotta feel like you're having a good time. That's just me.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm trying to really zone in on it, because if, let's say the party is not packed, but the people that's there had a good time, they're gonna go tell somebody they had a good time.
Yeah.
If you got 50 people in there,
Yep.
and they all feel like they had a good time, those
Yep.
50 people, if they all told one person about the party,
Yeah.
that's 100 people
Yeah.
that is going to either experience it or hear about it.
Right.
Just with them going to tell
Yeah.
somebody, right?
That's 100 impressions.
Yeah,
Good impressions.
correct.
Yeah.
And you talking about word of mouth
Yep.
impressions, you know? So
Yeah.
I done had events, you know, where, you know, I had some events that just ended up being lessons for me.
Uh-huh.
You know, like the marketing wasn't really like as good as I wanted to
Yeah.
be, or the turnout wasn't as good as I wanted to be.
Right.
And I joked. I remember I had an event. I tried something different. I tried to do this whole supper club themed event.
Okay.
And I just felt like, you know, people didn't really catch
Okay.
what I was trying to do. It was like
Okay.
a true dinner
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it just didn't really go over well.
Okay.
You know? So it wasn't packed. And then by that time, I had built like a real good relationship with you know, owners and management at this particular venue.
Yeah.
But I said to them, I said, you know what? I'm gonna make them feel like they in a penthouse.
Yeah.
Like I'm Hugh Hefner and they in the mansion.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you know, it'll still make them feel like they had a decent experience.
For sure.
Knowing that somebody cared about how they felt about a particular situation. But I even tell my DJs, you know, and shout to DJ Money J. DJ Money J has been my best friend since one of my you know, closest best friends since we was kids.
Yeah.
You know, he's a few years younger than me. I might have been like, you know, 5th grade. He might have been like 3rd. You know, we was riding bikes in the neighborhood together. So when we was kids, DJ Money J had a DJ set in his attic.
Oh, okay.
You know, and so I tell him, like, listen, it don't matter if it's 50 people here.
Right.
Play like it's 500.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what the person's going to remember.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to hear somebody say, "Oh, I got here too early. I came later for a better experience." No, the moment you get here, that's when your experience begins.
Absolutely.
You know, so I really try to cater to that.
Yeah.
I don't even try to kill people financially because, you know, I'm not saying that my experience ain't worth more, but you keep coming back.
Yeah.
You know, I always think longevity.
Yeah.
And I try not to really burn bridges. And you got your people that's, you know, gonna ask you their million questions, or you got some people that's gonna try. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have a little bit of frustration in business, in some business, than no business.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. That's yeah. All right, check it out. Can we do this in 2 parts?
We could. I know it's being lengthy, man, but I got time, bro.
It's not lengthy. It's just I got my sister called me for a sit down, so I got to go sit down.
All right.
But there's so much more I want to talk
I
about.
ain't talking too much either.
No, you're not. You're not.
You know, I like
Yeah, it's
I like the dialogue. I like the engagement, man. I do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I you know,
I really do.
camera or no camera, you know, what I mean, I enjoy kicking it with you and like listening to your perspective on things and knowing that it's a genuine perspective that came from experience.
I try to be very genuine. It's a lot, man. It's other topics and things that in the business that we can definitely cover because I don't know, man. Who knew it would have came this far?
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
We're doing brunches since 2016.
Right.
You know, and mentally, I probably could have started earlier. Like I said, I was just when you're in that transitional page time in your life.
Yeah.
It's really you want to get out of that at your own pace.
Yeah.
And then even with the brunches, you know, at first, it was business and all of that. But you know, I was 8 years ago. Obviously, I was younger, so you know, it was business and a party.
Yeah.
You know, and after a while, especially at this stage of my life, it's really just business.
Yeah.
With any event, even when it was a party,
right.
I was always running around to make sure everybody's accommodated. I probably get to enjoy any event I've had probably the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know, I never want to just be kind of like just sitting around.
Right.
Because. You know, I could go into a venue and they can have people walking you to your tables, but I like taking you to your tables. At the end of the day, you know, it's still an event. You know, I'll come there an hour before the doors open.
Yeah.
You know, and my floor plan is done. My tables are labeled. I might have little welcome signs for you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, you want that day to go right.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna be able to get it back.
Right.
You know, so I mean, there's so many different things that we could kind of peel an onion back about business-wise because, you know, I really do care about that experience.
Yeah. And I want to talk about like just you as a man, as a person, like, you know, how you've evolved, what you've learned, what you've unlearned. Like, I definitely want to, I expected to have the full conversation. I just, time.
Listen, man, I got it. We could definitely do that. I'm down for a part 2.
Okay, dope. Appreciate it.
Most definitely. I appreciate it. You know, this is a pleasure.
Yeah, same. Absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
I want to try that fried chicken though, man. I don't know if you got that kind of time, man. That fried chicken recipe.
My man, appreciate you, man. I got something coming up around that. I want to make sure, let you know.
You know, you one of North's real sons, man. You know, I pay attention to you, man. You know, you very trendy.
Thank you.
You know, you carrying on that North culture that you don't really see a lot of people take on, man. Definitely. And I pay attention to that, bro. I done been around through the blessings of my parents, you know, and just seeing the places they didn't took me to, and the people I got a chance to meet. Yeah. And you know, you definitely carrying that tradition from
thank you, bro.
Previous generation.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
You definitely are, for sure.
Thank you so much, man. That means a lot.
I can see it. I can see it in the dressing. I can see it in the way you carry yourself. I can see it, you know, when you go to certain events. Yeah. It's just, you know, it's very interpersonal, very North first, you know. And I want to tell you, like, I respect that because just with the state of New Jersey and also the city, you need more trendy and I don't know, urbanized is the correct word, but you need people that's like the face of the city that you know, like if I was out of town and like, you know what, I was in North, I was hanging with a guy like you because you know, I'm not knocking other places, man, but like it's time for us. Yeah, it just is. Feel me? It's really time for us, and that's other motivation behind. As I'm older now in the experience, that's other motivation because people will jump on a plane and I can name places they'll go to in Houston, and I can name places they'll go to in the A. I can name places they'll go to in Miami and DC. But it's time for us to start having that. You know, I jumped on a plane. I flew to North. And you know what I'm saying? Like when I did brunches, when I was doing brunches in Harlem maybe first Saturday, I was getting emails like, I'm flying in town from Detroit, I'm flying in town from Chicago. I seen brunch on the, you know what I'm saying, on the promotion, so I'm coming. Word. I used to feel good. Word. But we need that here.
Yeah, and it's coming.
Like we need that here. You know? And just I think you definitely one of them guys at the forefront, bro.
Thank you, bro.
What I'm saying? So if I don't tell you, you know what I mean? Saying,
much respect, bro. Word,
you know, and this is coming from somebody like, my mom is who she is. And you know, I've been around Emily Miles, and my grandfather was Red Shirt Charlie. My grandmother was Modena Watson. She had a beauty salon on Clinton Ave down there by Irvin Turner.
Yeah.
Over there by the Shabazz football stadium, where like that was like a prominent area. Around the corner from like Avon and Stratford, where that area was prominent. You know, my grandmother was Sarah Vaughn's right hand. They were best friends. My grandmother traveled the world with Sarah Vaughan. They was in Cuba the night before Castro took over. You know, like Sarah Vaughan, my mom's godmother. Like this is coming from you know.
Yes.
I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? So,
Receive, thank you, man.
For sure, man.
Emily Miles, do your Googles.
Please.
Do your Googles. It's worth it.